Hello, everyone. It's RASA von Werder from the University of Mother God Church. My name is R-A-S-A, Rasa von, V-O-N, W-E-R-D-E-R, and I am from the University of Mother God Church. My show business name when I was a dancer, model, actress was Kellie, Kellie Everts, E-V-E-R-T-S, known as the lady who strips for God and dances to save men's souls. I gave 1,000 sermons in burlesque theaters and nightclubs before I danced. The only one woman in history who ever did that and probably ever will. They're going to do a movie of it, maybe even a TV series of my life. You can find my life story on I Strip for God, KellieEverts.com. You can find my teaching work on Woman, Thou Art God.com. It's a 6,000-page University of Mother God Church. And this university teaches union with God, how to build a ministry, how to build a church in your home, how to find union with God, how to see God face to face, the natural superiority of women, matriarchy, female empowerment, galleries of photos. It's a 6,000-page website that was getting 1 million hits a year. The first 2 years, 3 years it was out, it was getting 1 million hits a year. And now it's archived, so that's slacked off a little. My new website, which includes many, many articles I wrote, like 75 articles I wrote, plus hundreds of photos I took of models, pictures of myself in different various ages, and pictures of all the beautiful male models I took, dressed and naked and erotic, on the galleries. Look in the galleries, Shiva and Shakti. Shakti is female, Shiva is male. Look there for the naked, dressed and naked and erotic male models I photographed. I'm a pretty good photographer. I have 2 books on photography out. One is called America's Most Beautiful Man, one man that was chosen from my models by a consensus. And the second book is called America's Most Beautiful Men. And I have a $200 version of the book and a $15, I think, well, a cheap version. I think it's $15 or something. Yeah, it's around $15. And you can get my 20 books, 20 different books on, well, there's a couple. There's one on Blurb, one on iUniverse, one on Blurb. And most of them are on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and most of them are on Lulu.com. Lulu.com is the best place to buy most of my books. All right, that being said, let's move on. So I'm talking about this fake guy that I met. He was a con man, but he was, at the time, I was on the rebound from James Brown, and I just broken up with Mickey Hargitay, and I was just brokenhearted from James Brown. And this guy had the gift of gab, and he was a very professional con artist. He was a Hindu. He said he was a prince. He knew how to do a little bit of opera singing. He knew how to do tap dancing. And he could play classical piano, but only one piece, the Song of India. And he said his father was a Maharaja and he was a prince. But the thing that fascinated me about this man is he was a very professional hypnotist. And he used to do hypnosis shows. And I've always been interested in mind over matter and the realm of the other world, the realm of the mystical. He also used to put a needle, a big needle. He used to do shows. He'd put a big needle through his hand, and then he would take it out, and he repaired it instantly so that the wound was gone, there was no blood. And so that made, you know, some stirred, and he did public hypnotic shows. So he pulled me into his life. He pulled me in. And I was interested in the mind over matter stuff. And he had a doctrine, it was all screwed up. But I wondered whether, how much of it was true, how much of it was not true. But he pushed me to become a vegetarian, which I did. In fact, I became a vegan, a fruitarian actually, which is even maybe worse than a vegan. He encouraged me, you know, he believed, he said, if you have faith, you can do. Some of what he taught was interesting and valuable. 75% of it was bullshit. 25% was valuable. I'm going to try to capsulize this and make it concise. I took off my work. I was a dancer. I took off work in order to stay with him. I was living in an expensive bungalow house, a small house, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms actually, in Beverly Hills. It was a cute little house with a yard and everything. And I had 2 poodles and I had a live-in maid. It was charming. But it was very expensive. And he said, this is too much. You have to work too hard to support all this, which was true. I worked like a dog until the point of absolute exhaustion and collapse. He was such a good con man. He went to an apartment building and got me a decent apartment, a very nice apartment, whereas I was paying the equivalent of $4,000 a month for this house. The equivalent. It wasn't that much. And he got me a very reasonable, you know, the apartments usually cost the equivalent of about $500 a month, or maybe more, maybe I don't know, $750 or $1,000 a month at that time. Things were cheap, by the way. Rents were cheap in those days. And he got it for me for a fraction of that. And I was able to take off work and live off savings for a while anyway. And he moved in with me. He was a con man, and he always was mooching off people, living off people, getting free room and board, free meals, free... he had free offices at the Sunset Line Tower because he conned the vice president, a young guy who was the vice president of the bank that owned the building, that leased the building. And he conned this young man. This young man was like 28 years old, to giving him free office space. And he set me up eventually, not right away, but he set me up in this free office space, and he taught me hypnosis, which fascinated me. And I'm still a professional hypnotist, and I do hypnotherapy, and I'm very good at it because it's one of those mystical mind things I'm very good at. I'm a medium, really. I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, I'm a mystic, you know, so this came second nature to me. So, oh boy, there's so much to tell. I keep running out of time. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to just keep talking until I tell you all the basics with him. Just like I did about my horrible mother and my horrible first husband. I had to keep talking on and on and on until I got most of that out of my system, or all of it, you know, all the salient points, the big main important points about my mother, about my first husband, about my evil brother, and all that. Maybe I'll just have to talk for a few videos on this horrible, fake, con artist man. Oh, I dreaded talking about him, but I have to talk about him because he was a part of my life. And as I look back at it, some parts of it I ought to laugh. I should laugh, because maybe you will. Maybe you will laugh when I talk about it and tell you how crazy he was. It's hard for me to remember. And this was a long time ago. I mean, I was like, it was between the age of, I would say, 21 to 23. Yeah, that's about the age that I was. And And I learned a lot about life from this crazy man. You know, you learn from the crazies sometimes as much as you do about from the wise people. You learn from the crazies. The crazies teach you, you know, like the bad stuff teaches you sometimes as much as the good stuff. So he was a bad stuff. All right, so I was dancing when I first met him at the biggest club in Los Angeles, in Hollywood anyway, called, it was once the Jerry Lewis Club, and now it was called the Classic Cat. And it had only dancers, you know, drinks and dancers. They had like two stages, one big one, and let's see, three stages. One big stage downstairs, and then two small stages in two other rooms, sort of on a higher level. But all the levels melted together. You could see through. It was like open walls, but one was lower down, then another one was higher up, and another one was either a little bit higher up or the same level, but it had openings so you could see both of the little stages. You know, it was beautifully well done. So this fake Prince, see, what should I call him? Prince Nutty, N-U-T-T-Y, Prince Nutty. That's what he called himself, the Prince. So he came to my club, and he was such a good con artist that he would go into the office and con the owners. There were like 6 different owners. They were all, most of them, not all, but they were whoremasters, and they wanted to have sex with the dancers. And he conned them into letting him do hypnotic demonstrations. All right, to be